Mr. Loo, now that the special account is going to close down, I'm going to chunk all my ordinary account money into the Singapore stock market and get dividends. Seriously? You better be careful. Okay? I have a terrible experience I want to share with everybody. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I have an experience that I want to share with everybody that is not very pleasant with Singapore stock market. Today, I will share with you that I have 3 Singapore stocks that I held for 20 years that do very badly. And there is a higher thing that I want to share with everybody, which is why Singapore stock market generally gives very bad returns. I think it's important for everybody to put the entire CPF special account saga behind us. Okay, we have lamented enough. The negative emotions have come out enough. And most importantly, Mr. Loo and a few experts and Ben has developed some workaround for you to cushion the negative effect. Okay, so you should not feel very bad right now. Fortunately, this workaround, we have already put them in the YouTube videos. Please go and watch it. Now is a time that I hope you realize that we need to beef up our investment skills so that we know how to deploy our money in smarter places, right? This is where I want to share everybody at 1865 movement is not a CPF only strategy, it's a CPF first strategy. And I spend 80% of my time talking about stock market, and this is going to be one of them. I share with you why I have a very big negative allergy towards the Singapore stock market, and this is why. And these are my usual disclaimers. Please go and read. This is my experience. I'm not telling you what you should do with your money. And let's go on. Mr. Loo, how bad can the Singapore stock market be? Well, let's take a look at it, shall we? Some of you might be asking, Mr. Loo, how come you got Singapore stocks? Well, you're right. I don't even know I got Singapore stocks. I've cleared most of my cash positions, and I didn't realize that in my CPF investment scheme that I've actually held 3 more stocks I haven't sold. Well, they are the net still limited, okay, which I've held for 20 years and I still make losses. And the other one is Suntec REIT. I hold for about 20 years as well and it still make losses. And last is SETS. Okay, SETS. It didn't make losses, but I held for 20 years. Is the amount is so miserable that I've lost a lot on opportunity cost. So the combined together, I've lost out of $20,000 that I put in 20 years ago. Now I still lose $2,000 basket. It's bad, okay, it's bad. Well, what I didn't share with everybody in a statement, because I've sold them already, is my Straits Times Index, which I held for almost 15 years. I bought them during the crash of the Great Recession, and actually, held them believing that all index will compound like the S&P 500. No, if you look at this, right, after it rebounded, it's basically stay flat. This graph up till now shows that S&P 500 is as flat as a Singapore airport runway. It is so sad, It is just so sad, right? I've sold them a few years ago and told everybody that the Straits Times Index is a super terrible index. And I still hold by my word. Thank God I've sold them and put them in S&P 500. Today I've made a lot of money from them. So before we continue,
I hope by now you realize that joining us in our YouTube channel and our
so please continue to do that if you haven't. Right now, I would like to provide an analysis why I think Singapore stock market is so bad. Is SBJL, okay? Sibei Jalat, right? Sibei Jalat. It's what we call survivorship bias. What on earth is survivorship bias? Well, it's easily explained in this graph. This man represents a Singapore investor. Let's call him Mr. Tan. Mr. Tan, okay, is a typical Singapore investor. What does he like? He loves dividends. The average Singapore investor loves dividends, right? More than they love char kway teow, more than they love chicken rice. They love dividends so much that they attracted all the dividend stocks in the Singapore stock market. And when a growth stock, and a tech stock or whatever come in, okay, and offer them in exchange for dividends, I give you growth. Now, Mr. Tan said, no, I don't like you. So as a result, the poor tech company that could be a Singapore company actually then run to US to get listed, right? And that resulted in the case of what we have is companies such as Grab, companies such as Shopee and Sea, all went overseas to get listed. Well, the result is result is exactly what happened here. So this represents the various stock indices of different markets. On the blue line represents the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ went up by 18 times from 2003 to now. 18 times. The S&P 500 represented by SPX went up by 4.5 times. The STI also not bad, went up by 1 time, right? But you look at it, right? You look at it. If I put $500,000, from a start into a NASDAQ, today you have gone up by 18 times. That's a phenomenal number, right? Unfortunately, STI gave me misery, right? So it's sad. Okay, it's sad. Well, someone said, Mr. Loo, you pick the index. Of course, you idiot. Why you can pick the index? You can pick the Singapore stocks. You're right. There are exceptions. That's the bank stocks. The Singapore bank stocks are actually very good. The Singapore bank stocks, what we have is actually doing actually very well. The OCBC has grown up from $6 to almost about $13 or so. UOB, okay, from about $15 in about 2006 or so has about doubled. DBS in the same period has almost about double. Fortunately, I own 3 OCBC stocks bought during 2007, 2008 crash until today. He has grown by double, enjoyed some dividends, okay, and we are just lucky that we happen to pick this one. Unfortunately, most of Singapore stock market stocks don't behave like that. Okay, and for those people who love dividend stocks, I've been warning everybody about taking on dividend stocks. Keppel Pacific just announced that they are going to suspend all their dividends, and guess what? The stock plunged by 40%. Someone said, of course, Mr. Loo, you pick this one stock, of course, you can represent, but you actually represent, all the other stocks that are all doing badly. No, actually, let's take a look, shall we? Well, this is Singapore Telecoms. I used to work in Singapore Telecom for 20 years. At a high, when I was there, Singapore Telecoms actually hit a high about $4.50. Today is $2.37. Very sad, right? $2.37. StarHub has crashed almost by the same magnitude or so, maybe even worse. Okay, Keppel was one time good, then down, up, down, down, and then up again. Basically, go back to the same point after so many years since 2007. And this is CapitaLand, equally miserable. Singapore Airlines, equally miserable. And Wilmar, one point in time was bigger than Singtel, equally miserable. And this is where I want to conclude. The Singapore stock market, generally is poor for capital appreciation. It is probably only good for dividends, but you need to be a good stock picker. Mr. Loo is not capable of doing good stock picking. What makes you think you can, right? And even people like Endower's Chief Investment Officer, Sam Ree, always say this, right? Even he can't do it, What makes you guys think can do it? Some of you are sitting on good dividends because of the bank stocks. Lucky you, right? Lucky you. Think about some of the other companies that you are not so lucky with in the Singapore stocks. And this is where I want to say and remind everybody, the CPF special account closure forces everybody now to think, what am I going to do with my excess funds when I reach 55 or so? There is no need to rush. Take your time to slowly train up your investment know-how. Opportunities out there are tremendously wide. And the most important thing you need to do now is to beef up your education, your investment skills. Then when the time comes, then you slowly deploy your funds, okay? So before you go into a Singapore bias, because most of you are Singaporeans, I understand, take your time to figure out what the alternatives are there out there for you to do. So we will take time in our 1965 Telegram group to educate as many people as possible. I will take a lot of effort to train everybody in my YouTube channel so that one day you can make a educated decision for yourself. With this, thank you, and I hope you find this useful, and I'll see you in a day or two. Bye-bye.